Hello everybody, it's me, Dregobob. Welcome to yet another video on the channel. If you've taken a passing glance at my channel, you know I've done a video on this topic in the far internet past. But honestly, I really think I can do better. So that's what this video is all about, me doing better with that topic. Now, before we get into the meat of the day's video, I'd like to direct you to my new channel, Dregobob Plus, the new home to content like game reviews, stream highlights, and more. I talk about it today because I might be posting a Minecraft PSX video there, which should be out at the time of posting. Don't forget my Discord server where I host art comps, live streams with viewers, and more. Speaking of live streams, you can catch them some days at 4 to 6 PST. Oh, one more thing. Less than 10% of you are subscribed to the channel. I'd be ever grateful if you subscribe to help and raise that level. Thank you! Now, on to the video. Minecraft. The game people just can't help but make scary. There's countless horror mods that I'll likely look at on Dregobob Plus, but there's one very special mod that we're going to take a look at today. This mod pack is called Minecraft PSX, and it's one of the single most well-crafted mod packs I've ever had the pleasure of playing. Wow, I've said mod pack a lot. Never in my life have I encountered something this subtly terrifying. At this time, I've played well over 10 hours of this mod pack to get a hold of all the info and footage I need. And unlike the original video I made on this mod pack, I saw and heard so much more. But we'll go over everything in due time. First, I want to go over the main menu. The main menu is an interesting place. The background shows an image of Herobrine's mansion. Before the Minecraft logo and Steve fade in, notably Steve is the last thing to fade in, almost as if he forced himself in. And that's because it's likely not supposed to be there, because after a fair bit of waiting, its true form is revealed. Herobrine, in the flesh, staring us down, almost as if it's inviting us or taunting us. I won't go into further detail about them here, but for now, let's take a look at the tutorial world. The tutorial world is a dreary, lonely place, but at the same time feels lived in. You start out in your normal beginning area that's not too dissimilar to the older Minecraft tutorial areas that show you how to build a simple house and how to craft. But here you're just alone and in the rain. The entire atmosphere of this place feels abandoned, as if this once great kingdom or base was outright left to rot by its original owners after something came here. Traversing a small river into the maw of the castle, it feels almost as if there should be a fanfare now that you've arrived. A tripwire even activates fireworks, though the rain drowns out most of the noise out. Considering how large the place is, I'll condense this section. The central area is a farm, and notably a small section containing villagers, which are the only ones I've actually been able to see in the entire mod. The rest of the world contains various spots related to redstone, enchanting, crafting, and so on. The whole world is brilliantly crafted from top to bottom, though that isn't even half, let alone a quarter of the content added to this mod, as almost everything is suppressed by the relatively peaceful tutorial world. Now, let's move on to the meat of the mod. The main game. Leaving the tutorial world to start my own fresh world, I'd like to note the changes to the UI. Every time you load into the main menu, a loading screen featuring a spinning glass block appears. And as you load into a fresh world, an image prompting you to change the disc really helps with immersion. Though, loading into the world itself, I find myself in an even drearier place than the tutorial world. All around you is a fog that makes it near impossible to see further than maybe a chunk and a half ahead of you. It's also completely silent, save for the sound of your own footsteps. One thing I really like in this mod is the use of sound. The mod pack has its own fresh, remixed soundtrack, and a myriad of new sounds that can occur at random. And that's not even mentioning the content additions and changes, like the UI and effects that make the game appear much older than it truly is. And the helpful addition of a screenshot viewer and corner of the screen always showing your coordinates makes sure you're never too lost. But traveling across the sea, I encountered my first oddity. While building a little hut, this happened. Followed shortly after by the sound of a door opening. Having played this pack in the past, I was scarcely expecting anything like this, but there's far more to come. You can also encounter signs that are randomly placed. I encountered two during my gameplay. One reading, Jag ar entidad, which translates to, I'm not dead. The other reading, you are not alone. If this all wasn't horrifying enough, these odd sound occurrences only ramp up as time goes on. But before we go into that, I also discovered a very interesting place in my world. A massive pit leading into a deep, dark cavern where I would eventually erect a small base. While playing alone, I always felt as if something was about to jump out and get me. And with the omnipresent fog, that always felt as if it were the case. Some other things I want to tell you about briefly are the extra buildings that appear in the overworld. These being random pyramids of sand and brick, staircases, and where are my manners? I haven't even brought up Herobrine. Herobrine is omnipresent, always there but never showing themselves too often. In all my time playing this pack, which is around 10-ish hours, I've never seen them more than 4 times. They simply observe you. They never outright harm or attack you. They simply watch. Other mods include Herobrine, yes, but they never seem to succeed in making Herobrine feel mythical. Because he either does things that are too aggressive, too extravagant, or they just make gameplay a drag. But this pack's Herobrine turns them into the myth he was always meant to be. That's something that you would swear up and down to your friends that you really saw. Herobrine and all the added ambience goes hand in hand too, but this ambience is always at its strongest within the caves, which is actually where I spend a fair bit of my time in this mod pack. The pit. A massive gaping hole that leads all the way to the deep slate, or in this mod pack, deep stone. I'll go over all the name changes and texture changes near the end of the video, but let's talk about the cave life. Caves in this mod pack are nearly twice as scary as their vanilla counterparts. Sounds echo. Cave ambience is different and most certainly more disturbing. The constant sounds of distant mobs and cave noises never made it any easier, but there have been 2 separate occurrences where the entire day had a constant whispering to it. In fact, I notice these days often coincided with new sounds, increased noise frequency, and increased mob spawns. If you watch me, you can clearly see just how much jumpier I am. Later on, I also encounter a blood moon, stopping me from sleeping and ramping up monster spawns to an uncomfortable amount, along with another bout of eerie ambience. Though, that experience scarcely prepared me for the discovery I made just a day later, because my cave home was actually near a massive skulk biome, one that seemed to have been spreading for quite a while. Now, I'm sure you know plenty about the skulk and wardens already, but it's my belief that skulk is made up of the souls and detritus. That detritus being bodies of dead mobs along with their souls. I may expand on this later with a video, but I believe wardens are a culmination of these souls. Powerful souls. the souls of whatever the player may be. And in this mod, that idea makes the wardens 1,000 times scarier, as they came face to face with a toothy maw and the warden whose sounds were utterly bone-chilling. And while fleeing from it, I encountered the mod's only additional mod, the Midnight Lurker, a horrid, nearly invisible thing that stalks you from afar, wears a false villager skin to fool you into a sense of security, and ultimately has the potential of two-shotting you, bypassing all of your armor. The Midnight Lurker is a horrific thing. It spawns most in the nether and in the caves, and the caves is where I've encountered it the most. Most times I'm able to beat it, while only taking a good half health bar of damage. But there's one more variant you can encounter. The Executor, as I like to call it. It is able to bypass armor and two-shot you. It can break through doors, glass, and crawl through one-block gaps. And unlike every other mob, you're treated to this grotesque image once it ends you. Speaking of, did I mention it can appear in the nether? Or I should say the slip. As in this mod pack, that's what it's been renamed to, along with everything with the word nether in its name. In fact, most things in the nether are retextured to appear more vanilla, as slipstone looks more like its older counterpart, and slip forests, appear more like actual mushrooms. I very much enjoy the more hellish look the old nether had. Coupling it with the new, older aesthetic the game's been given, along with the aforementioned fog and sounds, it turns the nether into a true hellscape. In fact, I haven't even gone over the noises that play in the nether either. In fact, it makes this place feel as if it's punishment for the damned. Distant cries of the unseen, otherworldly wails, rumbling, and the echoes of the mobs that inhabit it make the exploration of such a place feel as if you've gone somewhere no man or woman were ever meant to tread. And that brings me back to the Midnight Lurker. This place is its home, where it's at its most terrifying and powerful. The cavern-like interiors of the nether make its howls and screams echo all around you, making you think twice about where it's truly coming from. Each time I've encountered it here, I've been far too terrified to face it down, and so I've fled. And the pigmen. They're here too. They appear more like their classic zombie pigman form, but act the same as modern piglins, which I really like. But before this is over, we have one more stop. The end. The final dimension in this mod. The end has always been a fascinating place to me. It's a world, or more appropriately, a series of islands outside of the world itself, inhabited by tall, spindly, dark creatures with the ability to teleport. Above all, however, is the Ender Dragon, a massive beast that rules above all in this dimension. However, in this pack, the Ender Dragon and the End altogether is much more imposing, as the boss fight becomes twice as hard, with the Ender Dragon actively respawning Ender crystals and calling forth phantoms that slow and even pick up the player. After I 100% beat them, I made my way to the End Islands, which I found to be much more lively than I would have believed. The End as a whole is nearly silent, save for the coos of the Endermen. But the new End forests, accompanied with an odd race of slime creatures, giant tardigrade, and skybound rays, as well as schools of endfish that swim beneath the End Islands. In fact, if it were easier to get there in the pack, I would build a cozy little cottage out there. Another thing I like is the ethereal nature of the End. It feels almost as if the horrors of the slip and the nether could never get to the player here. Whether it's because of the Ender Dragon or simply because of the vast distance one would need to travel to get here, I feel the End caps off one of the best mod packs I've ever played. Now, I'd again like to direct you to the video's sister video on Dregobob Plus that's totally out right now. I actually don't know if it's out. On screen right now is art from a bunch of people on my server. If you'd like to promote your art or channels, be sure to join my Discord server. Did anyone see that? I'm hoping you're having a wonderful dare night wherever you are. Bye-bye. There it is again! What the fuck?